A woman wakes up in suffocating darkness. The air is thinning, her chest aching every time she tries to inhale a little more oxygen. Silence presses from all sides. Only the sound of her heartbeat and the smell of damp soil filling every breath. She can't move. Thick duct tape binds her wrists and mouth. No voices, no light. Only one thing rests on her finger. The diamond ring once given by the very man who tried to kill her. Once a symbol of love. Now, her only chance at survival. Could love become a weapon of survival? Could the cold glimmer of a diamond defeat death itself, deep beneath the earth? Welcome to the Case Files, where we reopen the world's most shocking criminal cases, where the light of truth shines into the darkest corners of the human soul. Today we're traveling to Huddersfield, England, to uncover one of the most chilling survival stories ever recorded. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Diamond Ring Salvation, Michelina Lewandowska's escape from a living grave. Part 1. A simple beginning of love. Michelina Lewandowska, a Polish woman born in 1984, raised in a working-class family in central Poland. In 2005, during a trip to the UK to visit relatives, she met Marcin Kasprzak, a fellow Pole working in Huddersfield. The chemistry was instant. He was tall, muscular, confident, with an easy charm. They quickly began dating, and before long, Michelina decided to move to England to live with him. They dreamed of the future, a wedding, a warm home, a family. But as time passed, that dream transformed into something else. What began as passion slowly became a cage, one that trapped a woman inside growing fear. Part 2. A ring and a promise. When Marcin proposed, he chose a small, simple diamond ring. Elegant, understated. Michelina cried as he knelt before her, believing in that moment their love would last forever. She couldn't have known that, years later, this very diamond would slice through the tape that bound her to death. They got engaged, but never married. In 2008, their son Jakub was born, and Michelina believed it marked the start of a perfect family. But for Marcin, fatherhood brought only frustration. He told friends that everything feels boring, that he was tired of staying home with her and the baby. That same boredom would later turn into the first spark of a horrifying crime. Part 3. The cracks begin to show. After Jakub's birth, Michelina noticed her partner changing rapidly. Marcin had grown cold, irritable, and controlling. He spent long hours away, either at the gym or out drinking with friends. He started questioning her, where she went, who she met, why. Sometimes, a single question could set off an explosive temper. Michelina tried to endure it. She thought if she became quieter, gentler, things might go back to how they once were. But her silence only made him colder, more distant, and more cruel. The home that once felt safe turned into a volatile prison. And unknown to her, there was more than emotional explosives hidden in that house. Part 4. Leaving and the Wrath of Control. By early 2011, Michelina had made up her mind. She would leave Huddersfield, take her son, and return to Poland to start fresh. For most people, that would be a brave choice. But for Marcin, it was an unforgivable humiliation. He saw Michelina and Jakub as his possessions. The idea that she might leave and take their child sent him into a rage. And in that fury, he formed a plan. Michelina would never leave again. Marcin enlisted his 18-year-old friend, Patrick Boris. He told the boy it was just a prank, maybe a way to scare Michelina. Patrick had no idea he was stepping into one of the most disturbing crimes in Britain's history. Tasered. Part 5. A calculated plan of cruelty. In May 2011, Marcin started preparing. He bought a 300,000-volt stun gun online, an illegal weapon in Britain without a license. He found a large cardboard box, big enough to fit an adult, and industrial duct tape. He and Patrick drove to a secluded wooded area near the Woodsome Hall golf course, several miles outside the city. There, They dug a shallow pit in the soft earth and lined it with dry leaves. They then marked the spot with a large fallen tree branch, weighing nearly 88 pounds, soon to become the lid to Michelina's living grave. Every step was clinical, methodical, terrifyingly calm, as if they were conducting an experiment, not plotting to bury a living woman. Part 6. The Trap is Set. May 28, 2011. A quiet Saturday afternoon in Huddersfield. The air cool, the breeze light. Michelina stayed home with her son, packing for their move. Then the phone rang. Marcin's name flashed on the screen. His tone was unusually soft. He asked if she'd go shopping with him. "I just want to buy something small for Jakub," he said. After months of neglect, Michelina's heart ached with fragile hope. Maybe, she thought, it was a chance to reconcile. She put on light makeup, grabbed her jacket, and just before leaving, slipped the diamond ring back on her finger, the relic of a love that was already fading. Part 7. When the Nightmare Begins. Michelina arrived at Marcin's house just as he said. Inside, she saw Patrick standing near the door, looking nervous. Before she could ask what was going on, Marcin moved toward her. He pulled out something metallic, the stun gun. A sharp crack of electricity split the air. Pain seared through her body, and she collapsed instantly. Before she could scream, Patrick rushed in, pinning her arms while Marcin wrapped duct tape tightly around her wrists and mouth. Barely able to speak, Michelina gasped. "Are you going to kill me?" Marcin leaned in, coldly smirking. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I just need you to be quiet for a while." It was the last lie she would ever hear from him. Part 8. The Last Breath in Darkness. After binding her, the two men kept Michelina inside the house for several hours. When night fell, they taped her even tighter, folded her body, and pushed her into the large cardboard box. The box was sealed shut, no gaps left. They loaded it into a car and drove to the remote forest they had prepared. There, they lowered the box into the pit, shoveled soil over it, and pressed down the heavy 40-kilogram branch on top. No prayers, no hesitation. When the last shovelful of earth covered the box, silence returned. Michelina was still alive beneath the ground. Part 9. When Death Draws Near. Nobody knows how long it took before she woke. Maybe minutes, maybe an hour. The darkness was suffocating, thick, absolute. The air thinning, her heart racing, her lungs fighting to work. Everything was still. She tried to scream, but the sound died against the tape on her mouth. She kicked, punched, but each movement only made more dirt fall in from above. For a moment, despair took over, until the image of her son flashed through her mind. Jakub's small face, his bright eyes waiting for his mother, and she whispered inside her own head, "I have to live. For him." Part 10. The Diamond in the Dark. Her fingers brushed against something cold, something small and hard. The diamond ring, the symbol of a love long gone, now the key to her survival. She turned her wrist, feeling the sharp edge of the tiny stone. If a diamond can cut glass, she thought, it can cut tape too. That spark of hope brought her back to life. Despite the lack of oxygen, despite dizziness and pain, she began scraping the edge of the diamond along the tape binding her wrists. Each movement tore at her skin, blood pooled under the tape. Bit by bit, the tape began to fray. She kept working, desperate, trembling, until, after nearly 30 minutes, one hand came free. That was all she needed. She slashed open the other side and ripped the tape from her mouth. The first breath wasn't air. It was sobs, raw and shaking. She knew she had only minutes left before suffocation claimed her. Using bleeding fingers, she clawed at the box walls. Then suddenly, crack! A slit of pale light broke through. Cold air rushed in. Dirt poured down over her face. But to Michelina, it was the sound of life. She kicked, scratched, tore at the opening until her hand broke free. Then her arm, then her head, and finally, her whole body emerged from the grave. Under the moonlight, covered in mud, her face bruised and swollen. Michelina Lewandowska stood alive. Part 11. Back from the grave. It was fully dark now. The woods were silent, but for the wind cutting through the trees. Michelina's body trembled, but her will to live kept her upright. She stumbled toward the faint sound of traffic. After nearly a mile, she reached a road lit by scattered car headlights. A passing taxi driver saw her, a disheveled woman, her face streaked with dirt and blood, and stopped immediately. When he opened the door, Michelina said just one sentence, her voice shaking. They tried to kill me. He called the police right away. That call didn't just save her life. It opened one of the most disturbing criminal investigations in modern British history. Part 12. The Hunt and the Cold Confession. Detectives from West Yorkshire Police launched a massive investigation. Her injuries, the tape marks, and the location in the woods led them straight to Marcin Kasprzak's home. When police arrived, Marcin was calm, disturbingly calm. He claimed he only meant to scare her after an argument, and didn't think she'd die. When an officer asked about the box, he smirked. "I left 2 holes to breathe through," he said. Chills filled the interrogation room. To speak so casually about burying the mother of his child alive, it was beyond comprehension. Patrick Boris, the teenager who helped dig the grave, broke down in tears during questioning. He said he never believed Marcin would actually bury her. Thought it was all a twisted prank, but the law doesn't draw a line between a prank and a murder attempt. Patrick became an accomplice and faced justice for his part in the abduction. Part 13. The Trial at Leeds Crown Court. In December 2011, the trial began at Leeds Crown Court. Michelina took the stand, pale but composed, her eyes unwavering. She described every horrifying moment she'd experienced underground. When the prosecutor asked what gave her the strength to survive, her answer silenced the room. "I thought about my son. I knew if I died, he would fall into the hands of the man who buried me." Even the judge, Peter Collier QC, paused before delivering the verdict. Marcin Kasprzak was found guilty of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, with the judge calling it one of the most chilling, callous acts any human being could imagine. Judge Collier added, "Being buried alive must be among the most dreadful ways to die." Patrick Boris was sentenced to 4.5 years for kidnapping, acknowledging his subordinate role and young age. Marcin never turned to look at Michelina. Not once, not a word of apology, not a single tear, not a single... Part 14. The Consequences of Evil. After the trial, police searched Marcin's home again. They discovered small quantities of homemade explosives and detonators, leading to an additional 4-year sentence in 2012. What he intended to do with them remains unknown, but it revealed a level of obsession and violence that went far beyond jealousy. Michelina came to be known as the woman who came back from the grave. She moved back to Poland with her son, keeping a low profile ever since. Each night, nightmares return. The sound of soil collapsing, the struggle for breath, the cold that never fades. When asked about the diamond ring, she simply said, "I still have it. Not as a symbol of love, but as a reminder that I can survive anything." Part 15. The Legacy of Survival. Michelina's story spread across the globe. Headlines called her the luckiest woman alive, but she disagreed. It wasn't luck, she said. It was a mother's instinct to live for her child. Psychologists later described it as the maternal survival response, when the will to protect a child overrides fear, pain, even the instinct to give up. Her case became a cornerstone for domestic violence awareness campaigns across the UK. Hotlines like the National Domestic Abuse Helpline, 1-800-799-SAFE, began using her story to encourage victims to seek help before it's too late. Because this story isn't just about one violent man. It's also about a society that too often ignores the early warning signs when a woman cries for help. Part 16. Scars that can't be seen. Years later, Marcin remains behind bars in the UK. Michelina, now living quietly with her son, has rarely spoken publicly. But in one interview, she said simply, "I forgave him, but I don't forget." She revealed that loud thunder still makes her heart race, her body remembering what her mind tries to bury. Yet peace, she says, has finally returned. In the small daily moments she shares with Jakub, now a teenager who knows why his mother never takes off that diamond ring. It no longer shines like it once did. A tiny scratch marks its surface, a scar left from the night it sliced through the duct tape, a witness to the strength of human survival. Part 17. Light Beyond the Dark. If you see this case only as a gruesome crime, you'll miss its deeper meaning. It's a reminder that love, when twisted into control, can destroy. But genuine love, the love of a mother, can save. Michelina Lewandowska didn't just survive a murder attempt. She survived fear itself, the betrayal, the darkness, the grave that was meant to end her. More than a decade later, her name still appears in police training programs and documentaries about domestic violence. Every time it's mentioned, one question resurfaces. What would you do to survive? What would you do if buried not only under dirt, but under the betrayal of someone you once loved? Conclusion. The story of Michelina Lewandowska stands as a haunting reflection of how love can mutate into control, and control into violence. Yet it also shines as proof of the unimaginable strength of the human will to live. A diamond, once a symbol of eternal love, became a weapon, a key, a lifeline, not because of luck, but because the woman who wore it refused to die. If you know someone trapped in an abusive relationship, help them speak up. In the U.S., you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, available 24/7. And if you're watching this, remember, true strength doesn't come from muscle or control. It comes from the will to survive. That tiny spark of courage that can break through even the darkest, deepest grave. This is the Case Files, and this is the story of Michelina Lewandowska, the woman who defeated death with the same diamond ring her killer once gave her.